I want you to get together.
Hello everyone, how are we all doing? I am trying something new today. I'm using a lavalier mic, which I bought online quite months ago. I'm talking months ago now, and I've always failed to use it successfully, as it seems to rattle if it's attached to something physical like the car, or if it's not rattling, which is more often the case, then it's instead not working, and I end up talking for an hour to find out none of it recorded. And that's just not ideal. As you can imagine, for a YouTuber, that is actually the worst case scenario every time that happens. So I'm kind of hoping that never happens again, because what I've decided to do is use my laptop while driving and plug it into that instead of my phone. It seems to have some kind of incompatibility issue with phones, but I can actually manually see that it is actually recording through Audacity on my laptop while driving next to me. So here we go. Now, what I want to try and do with this talk is, well, I'm going to redo basically what I discussed yesterday during my drive. I'm redoing the drive again today to my old house to prepare to do some decorating. I'm going to lay down some tarp on the floor and do a bit of painting. So while I'm driving here, I'm going to re-say what I kind of said last night, and hopefully it's a lot clearer now. I'm using this lavalier mic, because the sound quality was pretty terrible, I'm not going to lie. All you could hear was me rattling my gear stick every 3 seconds and the hum of the engine and all that kind of thing. But I think this should be a lot clearer now. So yeah, what I discussed yesterday while driving, and it was kind of a stream of consciousness more than anything, and what came out of it was a topic, a talking discussion that I feel like people have changed dramatically over the past couple of years. And this is all thanks to what went down in 2019, 2020. That major worldwide event, which I'm not allowed to say the name of through fear of the censors, and this platform is just not the place to mention the thing that shall not be named, but it was basically something that impacted everybody. Like, there wasn't a single human being alive on the earth that in some way, shape or form was not impacted by this particular thing that happened, which caused all world governments to react in a way that caused far more damage than the thing itself, that they were trying to protect us from, so-called. And I was discussing that, after that event, people just haven't been the same. There's something wrong. There's like something in the air, like an atmosphere of oddness to the way people are behaving as a collective. As individuals, you see it through individuals, obviously, but I'm talking like collectively speaking, people are acting differently now, even in my day-to-day life. And how do I describe this? It's kind of like they've been traumatized and something's broken in the brains. And that's kind of what I was discussing yesterday. I do think the pandemonium that was caused by the event has changed people mentally through trauma. Now, trauma isn't a trivial thing. Okay, trauma is actually a powerful tool used by the occult and Satanists, specifically those involved with SA ritual abuse. They use trauma to fracture people's minds in order to create altars, so they can use those people as kind of mind control slaves. In the conspiracy world, we call this MK Ultra. It's nothing new. It's something quite old. In fact, it's an old school theory now that people have, been talking about for years, for decades, and revealing. There's been plenty of people, who have shared their testimonies in that realm as victims themselves. So this is something quite common, but we shouldn't forget just exactly what they're telling us. They're telling us they were involved in systematic abuse from an early age in order for their minds to be fractured. Okay, and the more heinous the abuse they suffer, the more the brains, as a way of trying to cope with the evil they're encountering and suffering and the pain they're suffering, their brain creates a split file in the mind, like an alter ego, a split personality which they can retreat into to forget the trauma. And then those who are inflicting the trauma obviously use that alter ego as a starting base point to build up upon and create their own slave. And we find a lot of people in the media industry or in the public eye are victims of this, and are more often than not just literally mind-controlled, traumatized puppets used to spread the narrative, to say the lines, to read the scripts, And you often see, don't you, some of them glitching out, as we say, where their eyes just start twitching and they zone out looking into the abyss, and they're just not there anymore. And then the handler or someone next to them or something says a key word or something which is oddly placed, and then they snap out of it and smile and go back to their character again, But in that moment, they kind of lost grips with that particular compartmentalized part of their brain and just turned off. And I'm rehashing an old conspiracy here, because I believe it seems like the things that made people get isolated in their homes, the thing they did to us, the reactionary safeguards they put in place once that particular thing was unleashed onto us all, caused people to be traumatized, and in a way compartmentalize that trauma, because it was a huge wake-up point for a lot of people. Now, what I mean by this is, when I get a lot of comments, I get a lot of emails, and I have my Telegram group where I ask people to tell me, what was it exactly that woke you up? What clued you in that things weren't quite right and started you on your journey to discovery, and to revealing the truth? What was it? What was your beginning point? And a lot of people have told me it was that the big C, it was the Crown, Contagion. It was that thing that triggered a lot of people to start questioning their reality. And I don't think there's a human being alive that went through all of that hasn't started to question their reality because of it. And I guess the question is, to what level have people dealt with it? In what way have people dealt with this soul-crushing realization that all that glitters isn't gold in the world, and yet it seems like there really are evil people out there looking to control us and to seriously mess with us, and to make us suffer, to take away our freedoms. And I think everyone saw all their governments fumble through this event in a way that made it seem counterintuitive, like every decision they made was the wrong decision, and it's almost as though they wanted more people to die. It's almost as though they wanted to get something inside of everybody. It's almost as though there was an agenda to intentionally crash all the economies, through forced isolation, shall we say. It almost seems like they weren't just idiots. These governments were intentionally evil. And I think a lot of normies, a lot of people who are not even conspiracy theorists, saw what was happening and the government's reactions, and saw the coordination between all nations on this event. And something triggered in their mind, and they realized something's wrong. It's like they're all in on it together. What's going on? People have woken up because of it. And I would say maybe 20 to 30% of those people of the world population have fully dived then into all the rabbit holes because of it, and have fully learned the truth about the reality of the secret societies that run everything, and the satanic Luciferian agendas, and all the rest of it, all that stuff, But then the rest, the 70%, who still woke up to some extent, have either compartmentalized and suppressed it, got into denial mode, and would rather not deal with what they've just realized, and have doubled down on the agenda, you know, or some of them have realized fully what's going on and have just given up, you know, have decided, well, there's nothing they can do about it, so they're just pretending it's not happening, you know, and they're just going along with the narrative and the lie fully, knowing it's all a lie now. Because it's kind of like we're in this weird situation now where we're constantly being gaslit, aren't we, by leaders who we know are evil now. It's kind of like we know they're all in on some kind of conspiracy. And it's like they know we know that they're in on some kind of conspiracy against us, but they still continue to lie to us. They're continuously gaslighting us, even though we know they're lying, narcissistic scumbags who have an agenda which is not in our best interest. You know, but then there are those of us, like this very small minority, who are like, yep, we knew this, we knew as soon as it happened it was all a lie, and we do not take the solution, do not do any of it. It's all there to kill you and to slow you down and to ruin your lives. The whole point of this event is to make you take these things. It was never about protecting you. We've always been there. Like I said, maybe we've gained like an extra 20% of the people to realize all of that. But the majority of the rest have also realized this, but like I said, they've suppressed it. They've done the trauma thing, and they've kind of split the personalities, and they've retreated into La La Land. And the kind of, you can see it in people now. They're in like this constant state of fight or flight, ready for the next thing at any moment, fear mode, because they know it's coming now. But it's kind of like they don't know what to do. They're like deers in the headlights situation. They're like sheep, literally. They haven't got a clue what to do with the knowledge they've learned now that they are literally animals in a farm. You know, they don't know how to handle it. So I think people are acting weird. You know, and like I said, there's always that other contingent as well. Like there's 10% who have joined the dark side, shall we say? That's an analogy, you know. There are 10% of those people who have decided to rat out their fellow man to the power, you know, to the hidden hand. There are those who have realized people are in control and they want to be in on it. They want parts of it. There's those people as well. And you know, when everything kicked off, I think we saw those people, didn't we? Yeah, we saw them. Those people who were more than willing to comply, were happy to snitch on their neighbours, their brothers, their sisters, their children, their parents who didn't comply and didn't do the thing. More than happy to accuse those who didn't follow the mandate as being murderers, just as bad as murderers. They were the ones killing the elderly and the weak, just by simply not, you know, putting that thing on their face. They were the ones murdering people. They were more than happy to point the finger and lord themselves over everybody else as though they were gods who were saving the earth, you know, and anybody else who didn't follow the mandates and what the government said was evil, you know. We met those people. You know, they took the opportunity, didn't they, to seize a petty little amount of power from that event and lord it over people because they had the government behind them, you know. There's always those people, and you don't know who they are until those true, you know, shit hit the fan moments. When everything goes down, that's when you really see people's true colours, you know. And I think that alone, I think some people encountered pure evil during that event because those people revealed themselves too. And I think people were shocked to realise their loved ones, people they considered family, had done that to them. I think people were shocked to see that their work, people they had worked for decades and built relationships with, you know, suddenly turned on them and suddenly forced upon them horrible rules and mandates for threat of like losing their jobs, and or, you know, simply just shut down and fired them instantly because they can no longer afford it because of the loss of income due to loss of custom, you know. I think people encountered pure cold-heartedness and pure malevolence from those who were, like I said, more than happy to seize a little bit of power at the time. And I think that shocked people too. It's kind of like that leaves a mark on the psyche, you know, and that's trauma. It's truly traumatic to go through something like that, and to be so readily accused by those you consider the closest to you, and condemned, you know, truly condemned. It's kind of like, you know, if they were given any more power, they would have sent you to the camp. You know, it's that kind of condemnation. They would have easily ratted you out to the Gestapo. It's that kind of stuff, you know. And I think, again, because all people have experienced all of this in that 2-year period, and coming out of it now, people are I think people are waiting for the next thing to happen now, and there's like an odd atmosphere, and people are acting strange. They're acting like they've been traumatized. They're acting like they've been beaten down, you know. And it's just not, people are just not the same. I can feel it. I can see it in everything. It's in the eyes, you know. It's in everyone's demeanor, the way they carry themselves. It's the way people talk, you know. There's something off about just society at large. I can't. It's like a gut feeling. I can't really like describe it exactly. And obviously, those of us who have faith in Christ and have always been doing this, you know, Christians are by nature just untrustworthy of institutions. We're all kind of conspiracy theorists to begin with, you know. So when all that kicked off, the Christian truths were always like, nah, no chance. You ain't telling me what to do, you know. And obviously, we have the whole mark of the beast thing prevalent in our minds, you know. So it's like, yeah, we are not taking anything that you make us take, under the requirement that if you don't have it, you can't have access to stuff. That's exactly the kind of thing we avoid by nature of our faith, you know. So they were never going to get us. But thankfully, in a way, perhaps the controllers did, in a sense, overplay their hand with that event, because it did wake a lot of people up. But maybe that's the point as well. We always have to remember there is this odd double narrative always being played against us, which a lot of, you know, maybe not, if you're new to the truther movement, you might not realize this yet. If you did come at it from the COVID thing, you might not realize, you know, that there is an agenda at play for overtly evil-looking controllers to be obvious about it, because they do seem pretty obvious about it lately. You know, releasing portraits of the royal, of the king surrounded by blood and fire with a monarch butterfly next to him. I mean, come on. Things like that are always happening. Letting horses run through London covered in blood, like white horses and stuff. It's kind of, they're always gaslighting us. They're always releasing symbols and signs to show that evil satanic people are in control. It's like they're purposefully trying to make themselves look as evil as possible. And you have to, you know, a lot of truthers are in the game of pointing that out and going, look at them, satanic Illuminati, they're everywhere, these evil people control us. And it's kind of like, well, no, duh, isn't that obvious? That's kind of the point. It's like they want you to actually notice that. That's kind of the point. And it's a game they're playing here. It's a bait and switch, okay? The real agenda is to be so overtly evil that it fosters a revolution of a sorts, okay? And then when the world leader or world teacher appears on the stage to overthrow the evil corruption leaders of the world, everyone will follow that leader as the savior of mankind. And that is Lucifer. And he'll offer a new doctrine, the light of Lucifer, the Luciferian doctrine of be your own God. No leaders, you know. It'll be like a communist utopia ideal, no doubt, something like that. But it'll be the idea that there's destroy the old corrupt systems and replace it with the new light, fast, sleek, spiritual, super powerful system, which will be the Luciferian system, you know. So it's the darkness for light. That's kind of the game they're playing here. So, you know, exposing the Satanists is one thing, but that's kind of actually what they want you to do. They're purposely trying to overplay their hands and cards so we notice that there's evil people running the world. So we'll take the solution when it comes onto the world stage play that they've written for us, because they've written a script already, you know. And right now we're in it's like Act 2 of 4. and where the curtain's about to close on Act 2, where all the evil people will do something terrible. Something terrible will happen. And then, as a backlash to the terrible things caused by terrible people, the solutions will start coming through. They'll start being offered, and it will be the Luciferian doctrine. And Albert Pike pretty much laid all this out in his own manifesto. War will be involved in this. They'll be fermented through war to destroy people's faith in religion. There's going to be a war between, in the Middle East, basically. That was his plan. And that final war will make everyone drop religion. And obviously, the rabid communist atheist, which has been out there ravaging us since the better part of the 20th century and killing a lot of people, that'll get crushed because everyone will realize that's bad too. Being completely godless is also bad, but also having religion is bad because look at all these wars, right? But all that was planned. That was all done on purpose. So people will need religion, but they won't want Jesus. And that's when, again, the world player leader comes on the stage. The Antichrist will call him, or Lucifer, or something in the spirit of Satan, or in the name of Lucifer, to destroy Satan, the evil people, destroy the bad things. The good one will come. It's the force. It's the duality system. It's the darkness for light thing. It's the phoenix rising out of the ashes of the old. It's all these alchemical Luciferian symbols. And the doctrine of Lucifer is basically Satanism, but colourful. It's colourful Satanism. It's the same thing. It's you will be as gods. You will be your own god. No god above self, basically. And that's what Satanism is at its core. That is Satanism. And that is even the mainstream, cheesy, obvious, in-your-face satanic church will tell you is what their beliefs are. You are your own god, but the Luciferian doctrine will also be that, but it'll look all colourful and pretty and have frequency and chakra alignments and energies and connectivities to other astral realms, and it'll look more pretty, But it's the same. It's the exact same thing. It's Satanism is just the edgy version of Luciferianism. It's just Luciferianism with black face, black makeup, basically. It's just the same thing. But that's the game they're playing right now. They're doing the whole overtly evil thing to expose themselves. It's called the externalization of the hierarchy, and to purposefully be defeated on the world stage and then replaced by a new model, a new system, the New World Order, the Luciferian Order. And everyone will then, be under that situation. But again, if you haven't looked at my theories already, all of this kind of makes sense in context of the millennial reign already coming and going. A lot of people are waiting for Jesus to return. And obviously, if we are in Satan's little season instead, and that already happened, and the 1,000-year reign has already happened, and we're in that final end game push, then there is going to be a final war. So I'm not talking about some petty war between man in some desert somewhere. I'm talking a epic war of biblical proportions between heaven and earth type stuff. I'm talking like a serious major war beyond anything humanity has ever dealt with before. That's the final end game. And that's pretty much what the pre-programming was in the Avengers film called Endgame. All the programming is there. Basically, Lucifer or the devil or Satan or whatever title you want to give to this entity that's released during this time to rule us is going to gather an army to go make war with the camp of saints, which is Jesus, who's still here on earth with his saints somewhere, never left. His kingdom is eternal, it's still going on, it never ended. But while Satan's let loose for a little season, he's going to gather an army among the nations to go make war. And to do that, first of all, he has to get everybody on board with his doctrine, right? He has to get everybody on board with his belief systems. And then when there's a time of peace and security, suddenly aliens will appear or something. I don't know. And this character, this world leader, will say, who will probably have claimed to be from space, by the way. They'll claim to be aliens here to help us ascend or something. They'll say, look, the bad aliens have turned up. And like a giant mothership will appear over Siberia or something from the North Pole. Really what it is just that city. It's the Camp of Saints. It's Jesus and his saints in a floating New Jerusalem or something. Suddenly becomes visible. And it's not there to attack us. It's just Jesus. It's always been there. But they'll suddenly point the cameras at it, and under this new doctrine, this new world order, Lucifer will kind of say. By the way, I'm referring to Lucifer as this world leader, because it's the world leader will embody the Luciferian doctrine. I'm just going to call it Lucifer for now. But it's hard to tell just exactly who this character is going to be specifically. But let's just say Lucifer, just for ease's sake. All right, let's just define that term for now. All right, so Lucifer will probably point to New Jerusalem in the sky and then say, the bad aliens have come. I warned you about this, guys, and we've been preparing. It's time to go to war. We need to fight now before it has a chance to destroy the earth, because that's what this thing has come here to do. It's come here to destroy the earth, and that's kind of true, because Jesus in a sense has come to renew the earth. Get rid of the old, in with the new. There'll be a new heaven and earth after all of it, and it's kind of a rejuvenation of the old earth, because the earth never passes away, it's eternal, but it will be made new. So kind of a way that is kind of destroying it in a sense as it is now, so the devil's not lying when he says he's come to destroy the earth. But I assume Jesus will just chill there, or in his floating city. And that will be when all the other agendas come to fruition. All the genetic engineering, the transhumanism, the holographic projection technology, the blue beam stuff, the energy weapons, the cloning, and all the monsters that are being created, and all this type of thing, the underground labs, all the dumbs, all this sort of stuff. I imagine that's when everything gets released. All the flying saucers that have been built, all the genetically engineered monsters that have been created, will all get unleashed onto the earth, and Lucifer will point to the mothership and say, see, it's attacking us. Okay, but it's not doing anything. That's the illusion it's giving us. It's giving the illusion that we're under attack from an alien threat from outside of this world. And by this point, I imagine that most people will be so thoroughly brainwashed by the new light of Lucifer doctrine that's been established, and the charismatic leader that's taught mankind to ascend into such a level, with extra technology and all sorts of things, that they'll probably will believe it and go along with what this leader says, and will go and gather together. All of humanity will become one, united against this alien threat, and will surround the Camp of Saints and attack. And that's exactly what Revelation 20 says will happen. That's exactly how it's going to go down. Satan will gather an army and surround the Camp of Saints to make war with it, to seek to destroy it. But that's it then. That's as soon as that happens, it's game over. There is no war. We don't stand a chance against God. That's not how it works. It was never going to happen, It's just not the way it goes down. And that's when it's the real ends. Fire comes down from heaven, destroys everything, and then everybody's present in front of the great white throne for judgment at the end of time. Game over. It's done. Script over, And then it's a renewing of the earth, the new heaven and earth. And that's when it's the whole names written in the book of life situation is all happening, Yeah, that's coming, all that's coming. And I in a way, to circle back to the start of this video, this event happened, which has shook people up and messed with them and traumatized them. This is all gearing towards breaking people down so they can be rewired to believe a new thing that's coming. Fundamentally, that's kind of the point of all of this. You got to make people drop their past belief systems and then follow a new doctrine. You kind of have to break them down a little bit, and you have to make them lose faith. You've got to especially for the Christian population out there. You've got to kind of repeatedly beat them and make things happen that makes them consistently feel like God isn't present. And it's little things like these lockdowns where you isolate people. It all works together. This is one big agenda. Nothing is separate from one another in a sense. Everything's all kind of working in tandem. But never forget the point I'm making there anyway. For as much as evil as everything was during that time, and as evil as people were, and how overtly evil and satanic our controllers are and what they've done to us as a result of it, that's kind of the point. All right, they want us to think that they are evil satanic scumbags who are out to control us and be manipulative and evil. That's kind of the role they are playing. And many people took the solution that they offered, okay? And in a way, it's not really preparing us for the next mark of the beast, like a lot of people are preparing for, because that's already happened like centuries ago. It's not the mark of the beast you have to be worried about, okay? It's the preparing people for what's coming next, for the solution to end all the misery. And the solution will be Luciferianism. And it will be given to us by good, interdimensional, powerful beings that have revealed themselves to humanity or something. They'll call themselves ascended masters or aliens or something like that. They'll call themselves something that makes them, not of this world. And that's what will make people listen to them. And that's what will make people believe what they have to say. That's what gives them credibility. Well, they're clearly more evolutionary advanced than we are. Evolution. They've evolved beyond our understandings. We should listen to them, right? We need to listen to the wisdoms they have to impart to us. It's that kind of stuff. But to get there first, they're going to break us down. So we're desperate for a solution. And just don't believe it, And if I don't know what it's going to look like before that final war, but if we're still knocking about, like Christians, people with faith are still knocking about, just don't go to war. Do not fight. Take no part in it, okay? Because it's false. All of it's false. The whole narrative is going to be complete and total bunk. And you may end up going to war and going to fight in your hearts with true belief in your hearts that it's the right thing to do. You may end up going and fighting the very person you claim to follow and serve, which is Jesus. That may be the case. So you're best off just being a pacifist in this situation. Peaceful non-compliance. Do not get involved. And if that means they kill you or accuse you of being just as bad as them, you're just like the evil invading aliens. If you're not going to fight, you're a traitor to humanity, And then we've already prepared for this through the whole COVID event, right? We've seen that before, haven't we? That kind of attitude. If you're not with us, you're against us type of attitude, You're killing people by not fighting, Don't you care about humanity as a whole? That we're prepared for this. We've been through it before. We stayed strong last time. Stay strong that time, guys. If it comes to that war and it's still in our lifetime and we're still around, just say no. Say, I'm taking no part in any of this. This is not true. These beings are liars. They have come to deceive. They have come to gather an army to fight Jesus. It's as simple as that. And, if you're right, you've just saved yourself the embarrassment of explaining to God why you went to war with him. If you're wrong, they may kill you. But, we build up treasures in heaven, not in this realm. Everything here is fleeting. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. All that matters is that great white throne judgment at the end of time, and that you made the right choices, in a sense, and that you're covered by the blood of Jesus Christ and what he did for us. Because in the last talk I did, which, I've roughly summarized here now, I pretty much covered all the same talking points, but I did end by explaining it's tough for a lot of new truthers who came into the game to get to the Jesus part, and accept that it's true and that what he did for us was save us. He truly did save us. And what that means is, when it comes to that white throne judgment, God will see him, not us and our sin in that moment, because we're covered by what he's done for us, his perfect sacrifice. We fall short 100%. There's absolutely nothing we can do, no work we can ever perform. We cannot follow all the laws perfectly. We will never be able to do it. Okay, it's impossible. We will never be seen as worthy in the eyes of God through our own works. We are wretched sinners, and people don't like to hear that. They find it hard to accept that. Okay, and I get it. I do. Everyone wants to be able to say, well, I'm a good person. No, I did everything right. Wasn't I really good to people and nice all the time? And God will look at you and say, I never knew you. You never took my gift. You never built a relationship with me. You never took the free offer of salvation that I performed for you guys to take. It didn't matter how good you were. All you had to do was just accept what I've offered and roll with it. A lot of people just don't want to accept it's that easy. A lot of people want to have the pride to say, I did it on my own. So this is why I think Christians, we're in a great position, because we don't have the fear a lot of other people have about death and what's to come afterwards and what it means, because we understand that we do our best while we're here, sure, in the name of Christ, to try our best to save others and bring them to the truth. But all we can do is point people towards what he did for us and hope they humble themselves enough to actually accept that free gift of salvation. And I say it now, none of my works, nothing I have ever done has saved me. All that saved me is Jesus and his sacrifice. And I am just thankful that I can hide behind him when it comes to being confronted with God at that final great white throne judgment. And that's it. And that's what gets me through to the new heaven and earth, to eternity. That's it. And God is a refining fire. And to be in his presence and to be a sinner would be painful and horrible, and to have all that burnt away in such a horrible way. And you're made anew in Christ. You're made anew in Christ slowly, and I think going through Jesus is a more pain-free way of dropping the sin and becoming better, than having to be burnt up through God in his presence, and go through that refining fire painfully and suddenly. And again, I feel like this is speculation by me, what I'm saying right now. I'm just thinking out loud here. So don't take this as gospel truth here. There's a lot of speculation about how this all goes down exactly. But as much as I don't understand, I'm okay with that. All I need to get right is the main gospel core message, that God sent his only beloved son to die for my sins, all of our sins, every last one, all humanity, so that we may have everlasting life. It's as simple as that's very simple. God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son for us as a sacrifice, and just accept that sacrifice. And don't boast about your own works as though they've done something to get you there. They didn't. It was nothing. You've done nothing. It was never about you doing anything for it. And I think a lot of people do get wrapped up in the legalism and the idea that, I read more books than that person. I gave more to charity than that person. I did more good deeds than that person. I was a better Christian than that person. Therefore, I should get into super heaven. And it's kind of, nope, none of it mattered. It was all Christ sacrificed himself for every last one of us. It's done. His work is the only thing that mattered. And I think, again, a lot of new truthers need to get to that point quicker. And I feel like we could probably speed up the process a little bit here, whatever that means, or at least help people have less fear when these worldwide events go down that shake people up and put them into trauma mode. because I don't feel like I was traumatized through that whole event. I mean, bad things happened. People I knew died, you know, loved ones, and my workplace was authoritarian, you know, and I dealt with authoritarian members of the public because of it all. You know, I brushed those encounters with pure evil, you know, and the isolation, I went through it too, and the rest of it. You know, my wife lost her job and all this type of stuff. We had all the fear there, but I didn't feel the fear at any moment because I had this faith and this understanding about what was going on. And it's kind of, I wasn't whim to the programming like most people are. And like I said, thankfully, a lot of people did wake up. So we have that to be thankful for. I'm just hoping with this message, I guess this video, people will realize that be careful what you think you're waking up to. It's not necessarily about exposing the evil satanic controllers. And that's enough. It's the solution they're offering to defeat those satanic controllers you need to look out for. Okay? They're being overtly evil on purpose. Never forget that, okay? That's a big part of the agenda we must always remember. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to get in and get some decorating done. I hope you've enjoyed this little ramble. I hope the sound quality was a lot better with this mic. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.
I want you to get together.